Hey, my YouTube friends and family. Hope everyone's doing well. I just dropped off a kind of an emergency load. I guess you could say it was a hot load. I did three chemical totes, total of 7,000 pounds from Atlanta to Little Rock, Arkansas. It had a definite rush with a little bit of a bonus on it for being there on time. Dispatch booked me something from Little Rock heading out to Vegas, and so I'm going home. That works out perfect. The other day I was pulling a hill and I noticed suddenly I wasn't building the kind of boost she normally does. I get about 36, 37 pounds of boost, and I was only getting about 25. And I noticed my exhaust gas temperatures were a little bit higher than normal for that type of pull. Upon further review, it appears my air charge cooler is leaking. I got a little crack in the grill, so I'm kind of going to say something hit the front end of the truck and maybe damaged my air charge cooler. So I ordered another one. It should be home. It should be at the house sometime in the middle of next week. So this works out good. The truck still seems to be performing decent enough. With those variable geometry turbos, I think it just compensates and moves more air out of the turbo. That could be why it's generating more exhaust gas temperature, because the vanes they're closing down tight to push more air to compensate for the leak. And for those of you that aren't mechanically inclined, you're asking yourselves, what the hell is he talking about? It's kind of how these newer trucks work. They have what they call variable geometry turbos. So the turbo can behave like a little turbo, or it can behave like a big turbo without having the drawbacks of either or. The biggest drawback to that is the geometry part sticks, binds up, you lose the servo. And so instead of a turbo being good for 2 million miles, you're lucky to get 1 million miles out of them, is kind of what ends up happening. And they're expensive. They're very expensive. Just the servo part costs more than a conventional turbo. There's a drawback there. But you get the fuel efficiency, the quick response, and the emission controls that the government wants all in one. So it's kind of a trade-off. For those of you that run in areas that don't require emission trucks, I'd avoid it. I'd get myself a nice old school N14, a 3406E, or a Detroit 12.7 pre-EGR, and you'll love those trucks. They'll just run and run and run and run. This motor's a newer motor with all the emission stuff to it. They do give us some headaches, but once you figure out how their systems operate, it's not that difficult. It can just be pricey. But that leads into the topic for the day. I see a lot of posts on Facebook and in the groups where people are taking cheap freight and they get criticized. It's amazing how mad people get when you say don't take cheap freight. It's almost like they're a spokesperson for Amazon and they want you to take that cheap freight. I had someone blowing up my comments, asking me his comment was, well, who asked you? And I'm like, you're commenting on what I said. Who asked you? And then he's telling me to shut the front door, and I'm like, really? So here you are taking box truck loads at $3 a mile, which means you're getting $1.50 a mile, and you think you understand the business better than I do. To each their own. Anyway, so my point on this thing, the truck I'm sitting in is paid for, and my fleet is paid for. I buy trucks cash when I have cash. Where does that cash come from? I mean, I don't have loans on them. Where does that cash come from? It comes from the work we're doing. Now, a new startup might have had some seed money and been able to start their business, with some capital they had saved up from a previous job. That's investment money that you should be expecting your business to pay you back. That should not just disappear into your business and you never see it again. That money should be returned to you. Your business that you started should be able to afford to pay you back. That money should come back. Your business should thrive without it, and you should be free to invest that money somewhere else. Buy some real estate, invest in another business, whatever it may be. You will find that your most successful business people have more than one business venture. When you meet somebody that has 2, 3, 4 businesses, or they have a really solid, strong business, but they own some rental units, they own some land, they've got other things going on, those are people that figured it out. Keep that in mind. And so, getting back to the whole rate per mile versus the vehicle, my rate should not be any cheaper than a person who is hauling with a 2021 Peterbilt. My rate should be no different. I did a thing, a video not too long ago where I stated you should not be mad if someone offers you a different rate because you're moving it with a different type of truck. And I believe that to be true. If a load calls for a removable gooseneck and you try and do it with a step deck, that is what it is. And if they try to offer you less, you're giving them a different product. Having said that, your rate should not be different because your equipment is paid for or not. Okay? So the truck I'm sitting in has no payment, but that does not reflect in my rate. My cost per mile is lower, but my rate should be no different than the guy. The truck sitting next to me is a Kenworth T6800. It looks newer. I see 3 IFTA stickers on it, so it's possibly 3 years old. I don't know why people do that, where they put 3, 4, and 5 stickers on, take off the old one, put on a new one, but that's another topic. Anyway, so someone commented on a Facebook post, hey, so, if I pay myself 50 cents a mile as a driver and my fuel is 36 cents a mile, if I make another 40 cents in profit, I'm good. But that 40 cents isn't profit. That 40 cents still needs to go to pay for the truck. And if you say, well, no, my truck's paid for, how did that truck get paid for? If that's your philosophy, where did you come up with the money for that? If you saved that money prior to having your business, and you put that in, you owe that money back to yourself. Shouldn't you get your money back? That's what they call a return on investment. Where is your return? You're not investing into a company so you can collect a paycheck. Keep that in mind, guys. You're not investing money in a business so you can get a paycheck. You're investing money in a business, and if you work, you should be paid for your work. But on top of that, you should be getting a return. You should be able to collect money from your business. Now, a lot of business owners will do that thing where, okay, I buy this truck and now I rent it to my business from a separate LLC. Or they buy land, build a shop, and then they rent that to their LLC or from a separate LLC. And that's very common in business, guys. You don't put all your eggs into your business. This truck here is technically, it's titled under my name, LLC, and it's leased to my trucking company. Why? All my assets aren't in one pot. That's kind of a separate issue. Now, I can charge my corporation a lease rental for the truck. I can do that. In the short term, I'm trying to grow the trucking business again because, we're We're down to just 6 trucks operating. I'd like to get back up into the 20s, and so I'm not pulling money out. But, I know I just said you should be compensating yourself, but the difference is not pulling money out doesn't mean I'm not charging the difference. It doesn't mean that because I don't have a payment, I'm doing it cheaper. Do not go out and because you don't have a payment, think to yourself, I don't have to charge for the truck. That's survival mode. That's, holy cow, the market just fell apart and I need to keep the wheels on the wagon. We're not in a keep the wheels on the wagon market, guys. For as much as some of you are reading the Amazon posts and people are saying the rates are in the toilet, they are in the toilet. That's an Amazon thing. That's not an industry thing. You can get $3 a mile just about in every market. I got an excellent rate moving these chemical totes. You should not be struggling to keep your equipment busy. You should not be struggling to get $3 a mile. $3 a mile on a 500 mile load is cheap today. Let me say it again. $3 a mile on a 500 mile load is cheap. You should easily be doing $1,500 a day with a truck like mine. No reason to be cheap. And for those of you guys that are taking that $1.30, $1.50 a mile stuff, take the blinders off, start looking at load boards, and understand you're giving money away. That's what you're doing. You're giving away your investment. If you spent 20, 30, 40, 50 grand buying your equipment and you're operating for $1.50, you're giving away that 50 grand. What are you getting out of it? Oh, well, I'm getting a paycheck. You may as well give that money away. You may as well give that $50,000 away to someone, send it to a charitable organization, get the tax write-off, and go get a job somewhere. You just did the same exact thing without the write-off. Think about that for a minute. That's what you're doing. And you're taking on all the liabilities of being an owner. You're so much better off hauling somewhere else. I'll see if on the next load board I can't look for hotter markets outside of Amazon. And then I'll compare those markets to Amazon. Anyways, I gotta roll because it's time to pick up my next load. I'm going to Vegas, then I'm going home. I need to get the truck into the shop. I've got a few failures that are now kind of, it's a forced issue. I'm kind of a trooper. I can get by. My AC stopped working. I tried charging the system. It's not taking the fluid, the gas, excuse me. And so I have no AC and I have a air charge cooler leak. And so, it has nothing to do with it being Blitz week either. I just had a truck get pulled into inspection yesterday and he walked away with 2 stickers and no violations. And so we try to keep our game tight, guys. And this was in California in one of the tougher scales. And the officer that did his paperwork looked at my driver and said, "You should be proud of yourself." And my driver's like, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "That's our toughest inspector here." And my driver said, "It kind of seemed like he was grumpy." And the officer's like, "No, that's just his personality. He's not really grumpy. He takes very seriously inspecting trucks. And once you passed, he probably changed." And he goes, "Yeah, after I passed, he asked me about my dog." My driver travels with his dog. And then he goes, he became more sociable. And he's like, "Yep, he's all business until the inspection's done." He goes, "If that guy passed you with no violations, your truck's tight." He then went through all my driver's paperwork. 6 days ago, my driver neglected to put his BOL number on his log. That was the only thing they found. And he told him, he goes, "I wouldn't write that violation." He says, "Everything else is so clean." He says, "I'm not even going to write a warning for it. I'm just reminding you, don't forget to put that in there because it technically is a violation." And my driver's like, "I did it." And he kind of scrolled through his phone, he's like, look, here it is. I uploaded it. There's an image. There's a number. And the cop's like, yeah, weird. It didn't attach to that log. And then they look at the previous day and it was on there. It wasn't on the second day. And the cop was like, in either case, I wasn't planning on writing you a violation. Your truck's clean. Your log is clean. You're following the rules to a T. He had one personal conveyance movement and it was textbook perfect. He started his personal conveyance, went to a place where he could walk his dog and let his dog run around like a park or something, and then he came back and he went back to sleeper mode, and they said that was perfectly fine. And so, you know, we don't fear the blitz. In fact, I think the rates are going up because of the blitz. My dispatch told me that a lot of trucks are parking this next week, so there's going to be a spike in rates. But I don't want to run around without AC. You know, Atlanta was a little bit on the stuffy side. Right now, sitting in Arkansas, it's beautiful out. It's like 70 degrees. But I'm heading to Vegas, and so I may post up like in Flagstaff and spend the night there before I drop into Vegas and drop my load on Monday, and then head for home. But yeah, I need to get the AC fixed. I need to get my air charge cooler fixed. Yeah, other than that, this truck, I had just gone through them like a month ago. If you guys saw any of my maintenance videos, that's probably a key component to why that other truck passed. That other truck is the one I did all the EGR work on, and changed a couple brake linings, addressed a light issue, and a couple other minor things. But that truck was in good shape. I did a bunch of stuff to this one too. But anyways, enough about that. Big key component there, guys. Just because your truck's paid for doesn't mean it's free. It's not. It's taking money out of your pocket. It's your money that you should be getting back. Anyways, thanks for watching. I got to hit the road and go grab my next load. Hopefully I'll be able to, while I'm getting loaded, put this video together and send it off.